You're watching a spiritual warrior's experience where you will become the commander of your spiritual battalion, a place of clearing and understanding, an environment of balance and divine intervention. Welcome, and thank you for tuning in to Connecting with Spirit, and here's your host, Reverend Sherry.
All right, hello and welcome back to our video log. I do have to say that I appreciate everyone coming over, reading our blog, watching our vlog, submitting your questions to our Ask Solana, and taking advantage of the services that we are offering. We do appreciate you all. So thanks, and we appreciate your continued support. So let's get right to it. Today we have titled the vlog God's Judgment, because I tell you what, I keep hearing about God's judgment, and I've been hearing about it my whole life now. And so no matter where you live on this planet, most people believe that they will be judged, or that there is some kind of a judgment day, and that some kind of judgment is coming, even though we live in hell, they say. Because then we hear those that say, the devil made me do it, which in some cases, and I have to say most, it has been shown to me that there is indeed an entity that can manipulate our mind. We are even given the visual of an angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other, and then told even the devils are angels, fallen as they may be, angels nonetheless. So which is it? Which story do we believe? Should we believe? And one leaves us at the mercy of a vengeful God, always being scolded, while the other leaves us soulless at the hands of a fallen angel who thinks he is a god. Even most of the books and the Bibles that we follow have been written at the hands of men years after the event. So we're actually getting secondhand knowledge. While one book teaches death to the infidels and enslavement of others. And so again, which is it? Which way do we go? Because then there's those that think it's all bullshit. They toil their way through each day thinking this is it. Once this life is over, they simply disappear into the... So we live on a planet, this earth, and we've been told it's paradise. Heaven on earth. Yet most of the experiences makes one feel that this is the devil's playground. Let me share an experience my son had. He's a very prophetic dreamer and shared this with me several years after my father had passed away. In his dream, he and his wife, along with my mother, were standing in front of a beautiful garden outside the church he was attending. The garden had a small pond that was lined with huge boulders that were used as a place to sit and admire the water's bounty. As the three stood in wonder, he noticed his grandfather, my father, sitting on one of the huge rocks. He walked over and started speaking with him. "Oh, I'm so glad to see you. I missed you so much. Grandma misses you too. How are you? What have you been doing?" And as per the course, my father didn't speak back to him. He just looked at him and smiled. Then my son said, "Okay, Grandpa, I get it. You can't talk. Just know we love you and miss you very much." He walked back over to his wife and his grandmother, where they were all standing, and they heard over the loudspeaker, "It's time to come inside for a great fellowship lunch." So the three of them took their place in the long line moving into the auditorium. My son standing next to his wife, with Grandma standing just behind them. Brian then noticed Grandpa was standing right next to Grandma. So he went over and stood beside him and grabbed his hand. "Your hand is so warm. It's like you're still alive," he said. He goes, "I am alive," my father replied with a laugh. "Wait, what? You're talking to me? Well, all right. I was wondering, how is it in heaven?" And then, of course, Grandpa replied, "Heaven's not as peaceful as you think it is." And he's like, "Wow." Brian was like, "Wow, really? That's a bummer." And he's like, "Well, what's God like?" And he says, and Grandpa says, "God's a really cool guy. He can get real mad, but laugh at himself for being that way. He has a great sense of humor." And then, of course, being the lucid dreamer that Brian is, he kept going on with the questions as they sat down at one of the many tables. He says, "Well, that's cool. What's Jesus like? I know you've been waiting to meet him." And my father replied somberly, he says, "I've not met Jesus yet. He isn't here. He is back down on earth." And with that, this woman began to slowly appear. "We have to go. You have to go now," as she scolded my father. And without turning his face from Brian, He moved up and started floating away backwards as to not take his eyes off my son. And with a sad look on his face, he faded into the scenery. And of course, Brian was overwhelmed with joy. He had never had a conversation with his grandfather's many Yet visits. He was sad as he felt the conversation got his grandfather in trouble. Like he said, so why do you think things wouldn't be as peaceful as we are told it is the paradise in which we return? And again, when a passed over loved one comes and visits you in a dream, it's a real visit. I'm sure many of you have had similar dreams of passed over even if they're not talking and they're just standing around. That is a visit to let you know that they are there. Sometimes they come with messages and can speak. Sometimes they get in trouble for it. But please know that those are visits from the other side. And so, how does this all work? If we're to be held in judgment of events happening on this planet when it seems the whole universe is in chaos. Some of you may disagree, and that's fine with me. We will all be up in that space one day doing a collective facepalm just because of our beliefs, even though those beliefs are based on false gods and an unknown, unseen war. So it is said, "Fear not, little ones, for I have come." So did Jesus come to wash us of our sins? If so, then why is there still a judgment day? Does not the manipulations and infiltrations we've been made to endure enough of a punishment? Feels to me like these stories were made up to keep us all in a state of fear, to be stuck in our rut until the day we die. Seems a bit unfair, to look at everything as a lesson, it's really too much to bear. We're here to experience this realm. It's all of its beautiful possibilities, but it's really been taken over and turned into a school for wayward children, a prison planet that keeps us looping in the same atmosphere. Until that unseen world is made known, it will all remain in a tragedy. So again, most don't believe in something until they have seen it for themselves. And even then, they are programmed to look away and not believe what they themselves have seen with their own eyes. So who's really in charge here? Who will step forward and take responsibility? Until that day comes, I pray for you all to have the eyes to see, the ears to hear, and the mouth to speak that what you see. An interesting side note, during this time, my son had been dealing with a hernia near his right hip. Once he felt the warmth of his grandfather's hand, he was healed. His pain went away, as did the herniated bulge that was beginning to grow. So thank you, Spirit, and amen. Until we meet again, this is Reverend Sherry, asking for all to pray for this planet and all who live on her. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you're thinking, even if it goes against anything and everything I've said.
Thank you for watching, and please like, share, comment. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Like us over at facebook.com/Solanas Fan Club.